All right, so we're going to take a quick look at this. So, say for example, you're starting out a new customer success team. There are assets and resources everywhere to kind of walk you through how to set up a new customer success team, including yours truly. Um, Now, most of these focus really specifically on how to set it up in the first place, your playbooks, your frameworks, your risk categories, your kind of overall blueprint of what to build. Now, there are a lot of different places that kind of fall between the gaps in that process. So, let's say, for example, you're starting out at the beginning, you're founder led, you don't need any of the big platforms, you're making your first customer success hire. That's one of the toughest pain points in customer success right there. Whether it's your first hire, your second hire, your first team hire, or even right before you're going to hire, but just as you're a new founder and you suddenly find your customer pool is bigger than you thought initially, and you're having to keep track in a more formal way than you were before. A lot of my conversations with startups kind of touch on that specific transition. But then the other transition is later. Later on, when the team is established, you've got a handful of success managers or even a full on team, but you're struggling with growth or you're trying to figure out exactly why things aren't working. And you can't necessarily pin down the exact problem. Now, this is a really kind of important moment, or both of these are really important moments. And one of the things that you can do is, of course, hire an external consultant. You bring in somebody there to do the full in-depth deep dive interviews with your internal teams and with your customers to kind of tease out the exact issues and the pain points that they're feeling. That's one of the more traditional ways to go about it. The alternative option is to do everything in-house and either rely on customer feedback. So taking in your CSAT scores, your NPS scores, your interviews with your customers, see where they're feeling the pain points. Is it in billing and renewal? Is it in product updates? Is it in customer success support? Wherever they're feeling the pinch is potentially insightful in terms of what gaps need to be filled in. But then also you can do something with your internal team that kind of looks at what people on your team feel is working and isn't. And one of the core things about customer success, what makes it so important and so valuable and so powerful, is it is the proactive department. It's the department whose role is to find cool things, to find problems, to find different workflows, to find things before they become an issue elsewhere, for good or ill. To either head off an issue before it becomes a bigger issue, to head off a customer sentiment change before it does something bad, or to go ahead and get ahead of something really good and make sure you have a ton of momentum from that. So you can bring in the external consultant, but it's expensive, it's slow, you have to find the right person, you have to train that person on how to understand your company and product, which the best consultants are going to know how to do. But it's really helpful and nice to also have an alternative somewhere, right? So I'm looking at Halftime Orange, and I've been working with Halftime Orange for quite a while here. The founder Brenton is a friend of mine, and we've become friends actually working on Halftime Orange in the process here, right? So when we first spoke, what immediately stood out is the problem he's looking to solve, and it's a problem that honestly I hadn't fully realized or articulated until we started talking. And when he broke down what he's built with Halftime Orange, why it's important and why it works so well, honestly, he sold me right away. So let me see if I can make the best kind of repeat pitch of what he told me. So Halftime Orange is a in-house self-service, well, excuse me. So you've got a couple tools. So the first we're going to talk about is Orange Zest, which is an in-house self-service tool. The goal being for your individual contributors, one or any number of members on the team, to take this quiz, to go through all the possible answers and check these different individual aspects of customer success and see which parts stand out, which ones are working, which ones aren't working, what kind of feedback do you have, and where the different pieces fit together. And immediately, two of the biggest advantages of consulting at all are number one, what questions are asked, how they're asked, when they're asked, where they're asked, what they're asked about. A lot of the time, you can actually learn about your team and what you should be doing or what's not working by what questions are asked in cases like this. Oh, so why would we need that? Oh, why don't we have that? Oh, that is a problem we have that we hadn't really thought about. That's one of the biggest advantages is those guiding questions, like being interviewed about how your team works or being asked how it works to describe it to like a grade school tour is a surprisingly practical way to stress test your systems. Uh, but then also the other piece of it is also there is undeniable power to having somebody from the outside tell you things you already knew. So one of the reasons that consulting works at all, even if you have somebody come in, learn the ropes and go through all the pieces, and they call out the cracks that people on the internal team are already talking about, that in some level you already knew. But having that reinforced and articulated by somebody on the outside is tremendously valuable for the sake of the company. It's hard to overstate how valuable that actually is. And it's such a silly little point. Just having somebody tell us what we already knew can be one of the most powerful pieces of feedback you could get. Orange Zest and the Blood Orange Next Level kind of do both, right? So your internal team members take this quiz. It's got guiding questions that will guide you through the conversation and really cover the things that you should be asking, the questions you should have. And the way those are asked can already start kind of define what things you need to work on, what things are or aren't working well. And then after that, you take that on to Blood Orange, the upper test, and we're going to look through the page in a minute, but I want to make sure to cover this part at least. You go into Blood Orange, and that's the team level. What that does, it'll take a bunch of those Orange Zest individual contributor tests, compile them together, and then take them through the Blood Orange quiz, which is an actual analysis, action-based, team-based system. So as a leader or decision maker, you can take all the information, all the data you're getting from the individual contributors, and put that together and get a detailed view of what you should or shouldn't be working on and where the areas of most improvement are. Hugely helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and run through this. And then also there's the more detailed actually bring in a full-time consulting role, full-time contract consulting role. Or of course there is training on this as well. And Brenton is somebody who's been in customer success for a long time. He's done this work for years. He's seen these pain points. So everything he's written into the halftime orange tool and the orange zest test and the blood orange kind of super level test is informed by what he's seen in how companies run. So we're going to go ahead and run through the website real quick. I hope I've done a decent pitch so far. But so find where customer work is getting stuck. And that's exactly the thing. So you have your established team, you're starting your founder-led growth. Something's not meshing quite right, and you don't know what it is. You don't know what you don't know. So here we go here. Most customer experience work doesn't slow down because people don't care. If you've spent any time in customer success or customer experience or client experience, this is a uniquely dedicated group of people to making sure that customers have their best possible experience and products have their best possible foot forward. It slows down because ownership is unclear, customer truth doesn't travel, decisions don't stick, or teams are working from different versions of reality. And that's a hugely important part of jumping from that orange zest individual contributor piece to the blood orange or level view. You could have 3 customer success managers who call out a specific problem. You could have 3 developers who call it a totally different problem. And then support and sales each have different series of problems as well. There's no guarantee that everyone's going to have the same feedback about what is going on and what kind of needs to work out or what is already in place versus what isn't. And getting that holistic view of everyone on the customer experience team is really helpful. Orange Zest gives one person a free mirror on the internal system behind customer experience on what they are seeing. So they see themselves. And then Blood Orange shows whether the team is looking at the same reality. So I like to say that Orange Zest gives people the mirror and Blood Orange shows what everyone saw. So it's kind of that like shared reflection. And the Orange Zest quiz itself is not long, it's 10 minutes, and it is repeatable as well. So one really cool thing about this is if you are bringing in an external consultant, probably not something you're going to do every single year, but having a progress check, having something to review multiple times, like year-end goals or just like year-end professional reviews, this is a way for your team dynamics and your client experience setup to do an annual review. That Orange Zest is excellent for that. So you can do it once, make your notes, make your changes to it, and then do it again in a year and compare notes and see which time or see how things have evolved over time. It's really cool to have it be that level of repeatable and that level of in-house to just do it and knock it out quickly without having to schedule or set up live interviews. Orange just takes about 10 minutes. Blood Orange turns multiple responses into one team level report. And note that Blood Orange does not have a time expectation on it because it's going to vary depending on how many individual contributors or how many Orange Zest reports you have. And we'll see. Find where customer work gets stuck. Here's a great demo that actually runs through this in Brenton's own words as he goes through the process and talks up a lot of why it works. And let's see. We'll say start with your own view, then see the team picture. So you start with that orange zest. The free individual diagnostic takes 10 minutes and you get a tailored report showing what is helping customer work move, what's dragging it, and what to fix first. As an individual contributor, that's already valuable. So this is definitely something worth checking out. And then blood orange is where you get the real value there, is that team level diagnostic. You invite other members of your team to complete the orange zest diagnostic, then receive one report showing where the entire team is aligned, where views differ, and where customer work is getting stuck and which parts need attention first. Just again, looking at the entire team, what every individual on the team is seeing, and compare the different details that they're seeing and decide how to act from there. Why CX gets stuck? Customer experience, and there actually are a couple things that were mentioned in the places where customer experience gets stuck that I didn't highlight enough. One of the big ones being customer truth doesn't travel. So your support lead has a conversation with somebody 3 times on the same issue. Your product team never hears about it. Your CRM notes aren't updated. Your customer success manager doesn't even know this person's coming through. Say you've got a major client and they have 5 contacts, but you guys only know about 4 of them. And the fifth is just talking to support, just talking to sales. They have unique and helpful insight into the customer product relationship, but you don't get that because it's just being locked away somewhere, just because the workflow isn't friendly to actually sharing that kind of information in a way that everyone would see it or everyone who needs to would see it. So customer experience is not decoration, or excuse me, isn't decoration, it's direction. It decides how easy you are to buy from, how quickly you recover when things go wrong, and whether customers trust you enough to come back. The link between CX and growth is well established. We got some testimonials here. The harder bit is execution. Most organizations invest in CX activity without checking whether the internal system can actually deliver it consistently. Orange Test closes the gap. That's your individual contributor test. It gives you a 10-minute readiness snapshot, then points to what to fix first. And right here we've got, let's see, CX leaders grow revenue twice as fast, meaning that client experience or customer experience is a very viable strategy to make money. So companies and product teams make money if they're focused on customer experience better and faster. And then let's see, 39% of brands and 10 industry averages reported declines in CX quality across effectiveness, ease, and emotion. And that's just kind of calling out that it's an easy team to point out as a place to increase efficiency. That's what we'll hear a lot. Increase efficiency, cost center, no definite return on investment. Like it's really easy to look at what customer experience does and think that it's unnecessary, think that it's not important, especially if you take non-customer centric industry standards and you apply them to an organization that's investing in customer experience. It's easy to look at those side by side and say, why is this company spending so much more on this customer focus when they should be following the industry standard? You apply the industry standard and revenue in that company tanks because there were invisible lines between the company's success and that customer centric approach. And that's exactly the kind of thing that the orange zest blood orange test is built to catch. It's like, hey, where is this information being shared? How are people communicating here? Are these priorities communicated? Do these teams know what's going on? All of that is customer centric based on client experience and incredibly valuable, excuse me, towards revenue generation. And then this final one, a 5% lift in retention can increase profit by 25 to 90%. That's from a Bain and Company report. And that just talks about the value of keeping customers on board. If you are losing customers, that's a loss of revenue that resets your sales cycle, right? So you've got your cost of acquisition. You've got the money spent in your sales team, your marketing team, your product team to get somebody in the door, to sign the contract, to get them on board. That's a sunk cost. And then you get them to customer success, client experience, and then you either continue to collect revenue as they stay on as a customer, or you lose it if for whatever reason the experience isn't good. Like if you don't have customer experience, if it's not fully supporting the company, if the product development isn't supporting the customers based on the feedback they have in the product, then you're actually having to reinvest your sales and marketing money to recapture the same customer. So you are not only losing the recurring revenue you were getting in the first place, but then suddenly they become much more expensive to win back than they are to keep on board. Hopefully that kind of helps talk about one of the sort of hidden costs of not doing customer success. Why the oranges? We called it halftime orange because every good team needs a reset moment, a pause that restores focus and gives something real to work with. So you take a break, have an orange slice. That's what Orange Zest is. It's a quick revealing check on whether the internal system behind customer experience is helping you or quietly getting in the way. If you want the team view, Blood Orange pulls multiple perspectives into one picture so you can see where you are aligned and where you're not, where things are falling through the cracks. If you need the story behind the scores, Benny Madonna adds qualitative depth through structured recorded interviews with leaders and customers captured asynchronously so you're not stuck scheduling weeks of meetings. And that's an important one, talking about that external consultant view, talking about taking the time to actually record the interviews. Again, that's not the thing you can do necessarily every year. It's not something you want to do too much. but it is a level of insight and experience that is just unbeatable. That's really important to get, but I really love the spectrum of this. You've got the individual contributor review where even a founder can take 10 minutes to look at their system, see if it's working. Then you've got your small team does multiple orange zest tests. They do the blood orange review total. Then you've got Benny Madonna if you want to bring in someone externally to really stress test and really get a full, complete picture of the customer side and the internal side and really get a clear view there. So you've got those three tiers that really cover the full spectrum of where customer success teams could really use help. We start with orange zest, blood orange, how orange zest works. So you complete the test, you receive your report, and then you decide what's next. Let's see. Let's talk about what you get in the report from Orange Zest. You get leadership and strategy. And again, a lot of the power of this is just seeing what questions are asked, where, and how. And even being asked a question will often bring up a thought in how your team is running to be like, okay, that is something we need to work on. Then customer insights and access. Whether customer truth is easy to access, trusted, and used in real decisions. Like, how are you collecting customer feedback? Where is it coming in? Is it free form or multiple choice? Is it something you only ask for when they churn, or is it something you're collecting elsewhere? And how many teams actually see it, and where can they see it? Organizational structure and CX focus. That one's really important because while frameworks and playbooks are pretty commonly available, it's a little bit harder to see team structure in a functional client experience way. That's a little bit less common because that does vary a little bit more company to company. But this test is a nice way of summarizing some of the individual pieces in it that make it make the most sense. Employee and CX culture, whether people feel safe to raise issues, fix root causes, and improve the experience without drama or not. That's an important one too, and you can do these tests anonymously if you want to, but it's really important to highlight that where if part of the problem is the decision-making tree doesn't address issues, doesn't address feedback, doesn't if your internal team doesn't have healthy levels of communication and decision making, then your customer relationships won't either. And that's something you definitely need to fix and something that may only be readily apparent in an internal survey like Orange Zest or the Blood Orange exam, but is something that definitely needs to be addressed. And if you're an upper level leader, you probably want to run something like this so that you know every single level if there are issues that you're not aware of, because that's something you'll get feedback in tools like this that you wouldn't necessarily at other times. Measurement and continuous improvement. How are you tracking these results? Here's some metrics you should be tracking. Here are places where those results may be coming up. And then CX innovation and customer centricity. And then there is a special pricing deal until the end of June, which I'll link to in the comments as well. But long story short, the halftime orange system is really, really cool. And it's a really handy tool to have available to customer experience individual contributors and to team leaders as a way to take a close look at what you're doing. Check yourself on what is and isn't working and see if it gives you some insights into what could be improved where you can have the most dramatic results. That's it. Hopefully that's helpful. Holler if you have any questions. I will probably be talking more in detail because I have my own Orange Zest report that I took based on the company I was working with. And it would be very cool to actually talk through, excuse me, those results live. Till next time. Cheers.